توفيقي واعتصامي إلا بالله. الحمد لله الخائل ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Saudara Amir Hamzah, Menteri Kewangan kedua, Dr. Zulkifli, Timbalan Menteri, Tuan-Tuan Direktur Utama, Tan Sri Samsudin, Sheikh Abdul Rashid, Bahan Negara, Tan Sri Zulkifli Razak, Rektor, for the 15th edition of the International Conference of Islamic Economics and Finance. I would like to have this opportunity to acknowledge the 5 decades of dedicated work by countless Islamic economic scholars, researchers, and their institutions all over the world. Much has been accomplished, but even more needs to be done, especially when we navigate in these post-normal times. I made reference earlier to the more comprehensive discourse on the Maqasid Sharia. And the pioneers, notably Najatullah Siddiqui, made a compelling case, surprising even a devastating critique against the way we manage our Islamic finance and institutions. And we do recognize, and I believe in Malaysia too, the Bank Islam, banking and finance. The rich, ethical Islamic economic ideas and concepts became marooned in the hallowed halls academia and talkfests, while an overly fic-centric, that's to say, narrow and legalistic oriented approach in Islamic banking and finance prevail in commerce and industry. This has led to the imputation that Islamic economics and finance is being a patchwork. Now don't worry, I'm being a bit rather provocative this morning to compel you to discuss and deliberate on these issues further. Critics charge that it is mere rhetoric, lacking in original substantive content, other than the recycling of conventional traditions, partly true, no different from the pious platitudes delivered in religious sermons. Some detractors have gone even further, labeling Islamic banking and finance as an exotic sub-school of neoliberal finance capitalism, albeit with fiqh compliance. No. Objectively, we should reflect on this, and I think, notwithstanding whether you concur with these assertions, the discourse must deal with this subject, because without doubt, there is some basis. And looking at the scenario, political, economic scenario in the Muslim world, it has strong resonance. Now, let me reflect briefly on my limited experience now in Malaysia, after slightly more than a year in office. The main problem with the somewhat impressive economic achievements, we do encounter problems of abject poverty, hardcore poor. I'm not talking about inequality, I'm talking about hardcore poor, people who do not have enough food on the table. Now, so in my first year, which is last year, I said, there's no rhyme or reason for us to ignore this. We talk about Islamic economics, Islamic banking, to me completely irrelevant if we do not tackle this basic issue. And Alhamdulillah, at least we have figures in the first four main states of Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, and Melaka. We have resolved completely the issue of hardcore poverty in these 4 states. I'm just waiting for more reports on this. Now, in the last year, shockingly, we talk about quality education, digital transformation, food security, and energy transition. All impressive terms. And of course, it is something that we have to address. But then in our schools, even lavatories not be taken care of. Our children and grandchildren go to school without proper lavatories. And I instructed last year the Ministry of Education, don't talk about quality education, repair the lavatories first. And we have to spend at least 1 billion ringgit. We repaired 8,640 lavatories. Can you imagine? I mean, to me, it is unacceptable. If we talk in terms of the more sophisticated, complex issues, which has to be dealt with. But these are issues. This year, for example, we talk about housing, basic housing facilities for our police force, the armed forces, teachers, dilapidated buildings not fit for occupation. And we require another 2 billion. So I'm discussing with the governor, that's why I'm here. To try and solicit some funds for this purpose. Now, why do I relate these issues? Because I think these are issues that is relevant and pertinent where we discuss Islamic economics or finance issues. Otherwise, there's total disconnect in terms of introducing instruments for Islamic finance, but there's gross injustice. There's disconnect between the stark realities that we have to face in this world. Now, so it is therefore commendable that this 15th conference, organized jointly by IIUM, Ministry of Finance, the International Association of Islamic Economics, show genuine collaboration between academia, industry, and policymakers. Now, the Madani concept introduced by my government puts forward an economic framework based on 6 principles: sustainability, care and compassion, respect, innovation, prosperity, and trust. Now, guided by these principles, we aim to promote a new method of civilizational development, which we refer to very closely with Maqasid Sharia. On that goes beyond mere economic data and statistics that do not resonate with the ordinary people. Rather, it is a new developmental approach that benefits society now and that of the future. I invite you now to imagine a future economy. One that channels investments towards sustainable businesses, prioritizing environmental protection, responsible resource management, and renewable energy, befitting our duty as stewards or vicegerents of Allah on earth, to maintain the balance, the wasata, between nature and manifestation of the faith, which is clearly amplified in the Quranic verse, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا. Second, an economy that places the people at its center, not institutions or instruments or individuals, but people, that contributes to developing a caring, compassionate society, supporting comprehensive social safety nets, investing in community development, and abolishing poverty and gross inequality. Third, with a future society where prosperity has meaning to the many than the few, where unbridled capitalism yields to ethical inclusion, fair opportunities, and equitable wealth. Fourth, an innovative society developing not just new products and technology, but also ideas, solutions, and perspectives that challenge the status quo and inspire progress. And fundamentally, a society built on trust, where integrity, transparency, and accountability serve as the cornerstone of governance, fostering a sense of unity, cohesion, and collective responsibility over our shared destiny. This is our vision for a sustainable, humane economy for Malaysians, for Muslims, and for mankind. Now, I made specific reference to the issue of integrity and accountability because there's clearly a deficit in our societies. Here we do focus strongly on the issue of good governance and zero tolerance to corruption and mismanagement. We can't continue with that tradition that top professionals, top politicians, prime ministers and ministers use their position to amass wealth and squander the public purse for the interests of the families and the cronies. This, to me, is prerequisite for Islah and for meaningful reform, including Islamic economics. You can introduce impressive, sophisticated instruments, but it's poorly managed and squandered by corrupt leaders is not going to help. And I think, therefore, in all our developing process and ensure that their products are equitable and accessible. I must commend the governor for his initiative, introducing new instruments that show enough care and compassion. It is difficult to impress the bankers to think likewise. But I've seen this, and I was yesterday at the Maybank, our largest bank in the region, and I have to acknowledge their efforts and introduction of many new instruments that show more care and compassion for the people, other than improving the issue of governance and the issues of integrity and accountability. Now, regulatory bodies must create enabling frameworks for innovation and incentivize and reinforce ethical conduct, not mere legalistic compliance. This collaboration must be met with an ummatic commitment, with joint efforts to help realize this vision for a better future. Even then, achieving this will not be without obstacles. The path depends on the global financial system, along with Western-centric models of development must be critically examined by thinkers. Unbridled capitalism, limitless greed, and the exploitation of this world's resources must give way to the principles of moderation, equity, and sustainability for the betterment of both current and future generations. With this, inshallah, we can realize a society rooted in justice and compassion. And may Allah guide us and give us the strength, the wisdom to pursue this agenda. Terima kasih sekali lagi atas kesempatan ini. Terima kasih kepada Governor dan Bank Negara yang memberikan ruang kesempatan ini. Dan saya doakan mudah-mudahan persidangan ini akan memberikan landasan yang kukuh